So let's talk about Kai Havertz. What exactly does this guy do? In the case of Arsenal and their fans, some say he's a secondary striker, some say he's a central attacking midfielder, while in some cases he's deployed as a right winger. But before we jump in, let's revisit where it all started for him. Kai Havertz started out at a local hometown club where he grew up called SV Almenia Mariadov. At a tender age, this was where he honed and crafted his early footballing abilities. Like many youngsters, he desperately dreamt of becoming a professional footballer. Growing up, he was described by one of his early coaches as one who possessed immense power, drive, determination, ambition, but a very shy boy. Though he was a very shy individual, it was his ability that spoke the loudest on the pitch when it mattered, and it was clear that he was head and shoulders above everyone in his age group. In 2008, when Kai was 9 years of age, he was discovered at a youth tournament and was snapped up by the scouts of Bayer Leverkusen, who were awed by his many impressive performances. Having rose through the ranks of Bayer Leverkusen on October 15, 2016, Kai made his senior Bundesliga debut at the age of 17 away at Werder Bremen. Though it was short-lived, it was clear for all to see he had loads of potential to become something special. From then on, the 17-year-old became a regular at Bayer Leverkusen and gained international attention, playing in the Champions League and in the German national team. In his first season in the German top flight, he registered 4 goals and 5 assists, which wasn't much to write home with. However, in his breakout season, he registered a whopping 17 goals and 3 assists in the league, where he finished third behind the likes of Robert Lewandowski with 22 goals and Paco Alcacer with 18 goals respectively. At this time, he was being compared to another German with similar qualities and attributes who played in a similar position, namely Mesut Ozil, who he named in an interview as his idol and inspiration. In the following season, he continued on the same trajectory and was garnering the attention of a host of European giants, namely Chelsea, Bayern Munich, Real Madrid, and a wide range of others. In the summer of 2020, September 4 to be exact, Chelsea made a shock bid of £62 million, with as into £71 million to Bayer Leverkusen for his services, which was a world record-breaking fee for a German player coming into the Premier League at the time. His time at Chelsea was somewhat a mixed bag of emotions and feelings from the fans and supporters of Chelsea Football Club. At the beginning, his transfer was being hailed as genius business by Chelsea, simply because at the time, under the management of fellow German, namely Thomas Tuchel, a manager renowned for maximizing the talents of youths with whom he had worked with over the years. In his first season, he registered a measly 4 goals and 3 assists in the Premier League, with a similar return in the Champions League and other cup fixtures. This was by no mean feat a drop-off from his high standards of previous seasons, but was met with understanding and patience by the Chelsea supporters, given that he had just moved from another league and needed time to adjust to his surroundings. The following season, he repaid them for the faith placed in him by helping Chelsea lifting their second UCL title. He scored the one and only winning goal against their bitter rivals Manchester City. He was now viewed as Chelsea's new talisman and a rightful heir to fill the boots of Eden Hazard, who went to Real Madrid. At this time, he was playing in a number of positions, namely right wing, central attacking midfielder, and sometimes deployed as a striker. It wasn't clear what position he excelled in, but always tried to make a positive impact when needed. The following season, he was expected to kick on, but only registered 7 goals and 1 assist in 35 Premier League appearances for Chelsea. His performances became very inconsistent and was met with heavy criticism from Chelsea and rival fans. They labeled him the name, you guessed it right, the German James Charles. Because he was very good at looking busy and doing nothing on the pitch. There were even some fans who wanted him to be dropped from the starting lineup and worse, sold for little or nothing. It was very evident that his time was coming to a close at Chelsea and a new challenge was needed in his career at the time. Luckily, their prayers were answered. Fast forward on June 28, 2023, one of their bitter rivals and close London neighbours, Arsenal, signed Kai Havertz for £65 million, making him one of the most expensive transfers in their club's history. On one hand, the transfer was seen by some Arsenal fans as a complete waste of money, while some saw it as a challenge for him to prove the doubters wrong and propelled them to the Premier League title, given that they had just finished second and trophyless behind Manchester City. In his first season, surprisingly, he impressed, bagging 13 goals and 7 assists in 37 Premier League appearances for the Gunners, becoming one of the club's key talisman alongside Bukayo Saka. The fan base even made a new song honoring his many impressive performances by proudly singing Under Mikel Arteta, he was deployed as a makeshift striker or a false nine, a role he had to adapt and make his own as he had to deputize for the injury-prone Gabriel Jesus. In hindsight, it was a fairly successful season for Kai. However, Arsenal still finished second once again and trophyless for the second time running to Manchester City. In the following season, there were growing calls for concern from the Arsenal fan base for a more recognized and prolific striker that could rival the likes of Havertz and finally push them over the line to clinch the Premier League title. However, the manager Mikel Arteta persisted with Kai and depended upon him to become the club's new talisman to spur them on to victory. Needless to say, once again, it was an absolute shambles.
Kai Havertz -0.
In the league, he registered a poor 9 goals and 3 assists in 23 appearances. In addition, in the Carabao Cup, they were eliminated in the semi-finals by Newcastle home and away without scoring a single goal. Also in the FA Cup, they were eliminated and humiliated by Manchester United, who were 10 men down for a majority of the game and managed to somehow triumph on penalties. There were huge uproar from the Arsenal fan base calling out Kai Havertz for his poor performances and inconsistencies. Also, there were online criticism geared towards the player, mainly from the Arsenal fan base calling him, you guessed it right, the German giraffe or the donkey, because he would get into the right position, do everything but score. In my humble opinion as an Arsenal fan, it was a bit harsh on the player but made sense. Now please hear me out. The reason I am saying it made sense is because I have been watching numerous Arsenal games, and based on my assessment of the player, he was a very average dribbler, an average passer of the ball, decent finishing, nothing to write home about, and lacked that killer instinct to score half chances and be deadly inside the box as a traditional number 9 would be. However, I must say, if N'Golo Kante or James Milner had a son, it would definitely be Kai Havertz. This guy is a relentless presser of the ball from the front. At times I would see him on the left or sometimes on the right, pressing opposition players relentlessly, hence the name Donkey. In addition, he would create numerous goal-scoring opportunities and continuously miss them. Also, in an interview, he stated that his favorite animal was a donkey because in his spare time back home in Germany, he had a great love and affinity for the animal, and he would also rescue donkeys that were in need. In addition, he stated that his teammates would also call him Donkey, and it's not for his footballing abilities. Now, do you guys see the similarities? On a serious note, I think Kai Havertz can be a very effective player coming on from the bench for Arsenal and creating a positive impact on a game, but is unreliable to lead the line if Arsenal wants to win major honors. Now, fast forward the present day, Arsenal has announced the signing of Victor Gyökeres, a clear upgrade on Kai Havertz. Even though he's out injured, let's hope he can come back even stronger and have a massive impact on the season ahead. Now, if you guys have made it this far in the video, please remember to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more content. Peace.